The stories about the giant woman living deep in the ebonwood were whispered among travelers and forest workers. They said she was tall as the old stone towers and moved with the grace of falling leaves, but no one had ever seen her up close, except for Orvin. Orvin was a quiet man, a woodcarver who lived at the edge of the trees. He worked alone, listened more than he spoke, and believed things only after seeing them with his own eyes. The day he saw the trees bend unnaturally in the distance, he didn't run like the others. He followed. What he found changed everything. There, in a quiet clearing surrounded by violet-blossomed trees, she knelt by a stream. Her skin shimmered like pale moonstone, and her long silver hair fell over her shoulders like silk curtains. Her size was impossible. She was at least 4 times his height. Yet her eyes, soft and golden, held the sadness of someone small and fragile inside. She didn't notice him at first. She hummed softly, hands trailing in the water, her face lost in a memory. Orvin didn't speak. He only watched. Then she looked up and saw him. Her expression froze. For a long moment, neither moved. Then her voice came, quiet and deep, like distant thunder softened by rain. "You see me, and you don't run." "I see you," Orvin said calmly, "and I don't want to." She blinked slowly. "You're the first." He stepped closer. "Do you live here?" She gave a soft nod. "Nowhere else to go." He tilted his head. "What's your name?" There was a long pause. "Velami," she said at last. The name, drifting through the trees like a sigh, Orvin offered a small smile. "I'm Orvin. I bring food to this side of the woods for the workers. I've never seen you before." "I hide," she said simply. "They don't want me." He sat on a mossy stone across from her. "Why?" She looked down, ashamed. "I'm too big. My kind believes size must match purpose. Females must bear young. I cannot. They say my body would crush life before it could form." Orvin's smile faded. "So they cast you out?" Velami nodded slowly. "They sent me to die here, alone." Orvin looked at her, really looked, at her wide shoulders, her glowing skin, her long fingers, her eyes that shimmered like fireflies in honey. She didn't look broken to him. She looked radiant, like a goddess lost among mortals. "I don't think you should be alone," he said softly. She blinked, and something sparkled in her golden eyes. "Why would you care?" "Because loneliness should never be a punishment," he said. "Not for something you can't control." Velami watched him for a long while. Then, for the first time, she smiled, just a little. It was the beginning of something they couldn't name yet. In the weeks that followed, Orvin returned often. He brought her fruits, warm bread, sweet nuts. She showed him how to listen to the trees, how to hear when the animals moved before they were seen. They sat together for hours, sharing stories, her tales of the stars where she was born, and his tales of human cities and markets and songs. He began carving her image into small pieces of wood, her eyes, her smile, the way she looked up at the stars when she thought he wasn't watching. Velami laughed more now. One evening, as the sky turned orange and gold, she looked at him and said, "No one's ever stayed this long with me." "I like staying," he replied gently. "You're not just big. You're beautiful, Velami." Her eyes widened. "You think I'm beautiful?" He reached out and touched her hand. His whole palm fit just within the curve of her pinky finger. "Yes," he whispered. Velami's breath caught. The touch, though small, sent a warmth through her that reached the deepest, coldest parts of her. She hadn't felt that in years, maybe ever. Her voice trembled. "Orvin, do you believe someone like me could still be a mother?" He looked into her glowing eyes. "I think love makes a mother, not size." Velami's lip quivered. "No." One had ever said that to her before, and at that moment, she didn't feel too big. She felt seen, she felt wanted, and most of all, she felt hope. Orvin came back every day after that. Sometimes he brought berries or sweet cakes, sometimes just his stories. Velami had begun weaving long grass mats for them to sit on, her large hands surprisingly gentle and precise. The clearing they met in now felt less like a secret hiding place and more like a home. She had started smiling more. Her laughter, low and melodic, had become Orvin's favorite sound. He found himself carving not just her likeness now, but little tokens for her, a wooden flower, a bird with wings spread wide, a heart etched with a spiral, the symbol of life in her culture. One late afternoon, a warm breeze stirred the trees. Orvin leaned against Velami's leg, his back resting against the smooth, moonlight-colored skin of her thigh. She watched him with a fond, quiet gaze. "Orvin," she said softly, her fingers brushing through his hair with feather-like care. "I never imagined a human would be the one to see me." He smiled, eyes closed, savoring her touch. "Maybe it had to. Be a human. We're stubborn like that." She chuckled. "You're strange, but kind." He sat up slightly and looked at her face. "Velami, what did you dream of before they cast you out?" Her eyes shifted upward toward the fading sky. "I dreamed of holding a child, of feeling life move inside me, of hearing a voice call me mother. But they said I was too large, too dangerous, that I'd break any seed given to me." His heart ached. "That's not right. They had no right to take your dream away." "They took more than that," she whispered. "They took my name from their records, as if I never existed." Orvin reached for her hand, his fingers curled around the tip of hers. "But you exist to me. You matter to me." Her throat tightened, and she turned her head away. "I don't want to cry." "Then don't. Just hold my hand." She did, gently, carefully, like she was holding a bird that could fly away at any second. He came even on rainy days after that, his cloak soaked, boots heavy with mud. Velami built him a small shelter beside her own. Their time together became a rhythm, like the beat of a drum, only they could hear. One night, lightning crackled in the sky. The forest was alive with sound and fury. Orvin arrived soaked, his cheeks flushed. "You shouldn't be out in this," she scolded gently. "I couldn't. Stay away," he said, shivering. "I missed you." Velami's heart fluttered in her chest, the sound of those 3 simple words echoing louder than any thunder. She reached down and lifted him into her shelter, wrapping him in a warm, woven blanket. Her body radiated heat, and Orvin leaned into her without hesitation. "I thought about you all day," he murmured. Velami looked down at him. His eyes were tired, but filled with affection. Something in her chest ached, not with sadness this time, but with something deep and burning. Need, tenderness, love. "Orvin," she whispered, "if I could, would you want a child with me?" He looked up slowly. The question stunned him, but not in fear. It filled him with wonder. "I would," he said without doubt. "If there's a way, I'd give you everything I have." Velami's eyes welled with tears. She bent low and touched her forehead to his. Her sighs made it awkward, but her care made it beautiful. "You don't care about what they said," she breathed. "You don't see a failed female." "I see a woman full of love," he replied, brushing his fingers along her jawline. "And I see someone who'd make a perfect mother." The storm raged outside, but inside, they were still. The only sound was the gentle whisper of breath and the shared beat of 2 hearts learning to move as one. Velami, for the first time in her life, felt something bloom inside her that wasn't pain or shame. It was hope. It was warmth. It was the seed of a future she thought would never come, and it was planted not by her own people, but by the touch of a human who chose her when no one else would. In the days that followed, Velami changed. There was a glow about her now, not just from her star-born skin, but from within. She moved with lighter steps. Her voice held a softness Orvin hadn't heard before, like she was allowing herself to feel things she had once locked away. Every glance she gave him lingered a little longer. Every touch stayed a little warmer. They spent their evenings under the sky, Orvin lying against her shoulder as she traced constellations with her finger. Her people came from one of those stars, far away and cold. But here, on Earth, in this quiet forest, she had found warmth. Do you believe it's possible? She asked one night. What? He asked, half drowsy, lulled by her heartbeat. For us. To create life. He looked up at her. Yes, he said. I believe if there's even a small chance, it's worth trying. Velami closed her eyes. Then I want to try, Orvin. I want to try with you. He reached for her hand, pressing his lips to her skin. Then let's try. That night, something passed between them that was beyond words. He kissed her for the first time, reaching up, and she leaned down, their lips brushing gently, reverently. Despite her size, she made herself small in that moment. Vulnerable. Open. He felt her tremble slightly, not from fear, but from emotion too big to hold in. Their bodies, so different in scale and shape, found a rhythm that felt natural. She held him as though he were the most precious thing in the universe. And he gave himself to her with full trust, full devotion. The forest held its breath. Time slowed, and when morning came, Velami's eyes glistened with a different kind of light. She looked peaceful, whole. I've never felt this close to another being, she said, as the sun warmed her skin. You weren't just kind. You made me feel possible. Orvin kissed her shoulder. You are more than possible. You're extraordinary. They returned to the stream that afternoon. Velami walked slower than usual, her steps deliberate. She paused often, one hand resting on her belly. Are you all right? Orvin asked gently. She nodded, then looked at him with quiet awe. Something feels different. He watched her, worry flickering in his chest. Different how? She took a breath. Alive. I feel something. Alive in me. Orvin froze, eyes wide. You mean? She didn't answer, but her hand stayed on her middle. And in that silence, hope bloomed. They spent hours together, listening to the wind, to her body. Velami was attuned to changes in ways humans couldn't be. She said her kind used inner senses to track health and growth, things even the best Earth machines couldn't detect. I don't want to get too hopeful, she whispered, voice trembling. What if I break again? What if they were right? Orvin took her hand, firm and warm. Even if it doesn't work, you are not broken. You were never broken. She looked at him, lips parting, but no words came, only tears. He climbed onto her lap and held her, arms around her waist, feeling her heartbeat under his cheek. You've already done something incredible, he said. You've made me love you. Her breath hitched. Say it again. I love you, Velami. She closed her eyes. Then I can face anything. Over the next few weeks, they built a new shelter, stronger and larger. Velami began to decorate it with branches and crystals, things from her homeworld she had kept hidden. Her kind believed she was a failure, unworthy of motherhood. But Orvin treated her like a queen, like a woman worthy of everything. They talked of names, of futures. of whether a child between them would look more like her or him. One evening, Vilami lit small glowing stones in a circle, her culture's way of offering thanks to the stars. To life, she whispered, to the impossible becoming real. And, as they sat together, hand in hand, the air felt different, brighter, warmer, alive. Something was coming, not just a child, but a future, one no one had dared believe in, until a human came and gave her back her dream. The forest entered a golden season. Leaves rustled like whispers from the stars. The sky stayed clear for days, and the wind felt kinder. Vilami moved with a softness Orvan had never seen in her before, as if she was cradling something sacred within her, something precious and growing. She was glowing, and not just from her celestial skin. Her steps were slower, her thoughts deeper. Orvan noticed how her hands often drifted to her belly, fingers splayed with wonder. Every time she touched herself there, it was like she was checking for proof, and every time her eyes would fill with awe. One morning, Orvan brought her a handful of spring flowers, their petals still wet with dew. Vilami smiled, her lips curling in that soft way that melted his chest. "Do you know," she said as she placed the flowers into her braided hair, "that my people said no one would ever love me this way?" "They were wrong," Orvan said. "You're easy to love." She touched his cheek gently. "You make me believe that now." They built a cradle together out of woven vines and driftwood lined with moss and feathers. Vilami insisted on making it strong enough to hold anything. "Our child may be different," she said. "Big, like me. Or maybe something new. Something the stars have never seen." "I'll love them no matter what," Orvan said without pause. Her gaze softened, and she bent down to kiss him, slower than usual, deeper. "You already do," she whispered. As weeks passed, the change in her became impossible to ignore. Her stomach swelled, gently but undeniably. She had cravings, sweet roots from the riverbank, fruit warmed by the sun. Her senses sharpened, her hearing more acute, her touch more sensitive. Orvan adjusted quickly. He never let her lift anything too heavy. He rubbed her legs when they ached and sang soft earth songs to her belly at night. "Do you think they can hear me?" he asked one evening, his head resting gently against her side. "I know they can," Vilami said. "They always grow still when they hear your voice." He smiled. "Maybe they're listening. Or maybe," she added, "they feel safe." Vilami's people hadn't returned since casting her out. The skies remained quiet, and she didn't miss them anymore. She had her own world now, built with Orvan. Every tree in the forest seemed to know their love. Birds came closer. The water sang when they passed. Even the stars looked lower, as if watching with quiet curiosity. One afternoon, Vilami gasped, suddenly, clutching her belly. Orvan was beside her in a second. "Is it pain?" he asked, panic in his eyes. She shook her head. No, it's movement, it kicked." Orvan blinked, then his face lit up like firelight. "Are you sure?" Vilami guided his hand. A moment passed, then a flutter. His eyes widened. "That's incredible." She was laughing and crying at once, holding his hand tight to her. "I never thought I'd feel this," she said through tears. "Never in my life." "You're not alone anymore," he whispered. They stayed there for hours, just feeling the life within her, both of them silent with gratitude and awe. When the stars came out, Orvan lit a small lantern and placed it beside the cradle they'd made. "What are you doing?" Vilami asked, amused. "Welcoming them," he said. "Just in case they come sooner than we expect." Vilami chuckled, but there was warmth behind her eyes. "You'll be a good father." "I'll be whatever you both need." She leaned into him. "You already are." As her body changed, so did her emotions. There were nights when she wept without warning, terrified of what might come. What if the child couldn't live outside her? What if it inherited all her flaws? Orvin never left her side. He held her through every fear, every doubt, reminding her over and over that love, real love, was stronger than anything her people had told her, and every time he said it, she believed it a little more. In their forest shelter, under the protective roof of stars, a miracle was unfolding. Not just the birth of a child, but the rebirth of a woman once discarded, and a love story that even the galaxy would remember. The night their child came into the world, the stars burned brighter than ever. It was a quiet evening. A breeze danced through the trees, stirring the leaves like gentle hands. Velami sat near the fire, her hand on her belly, humming a tune from her homeland, low and melodic like wind through glass. Then she gasped. Orvin rushed to her side. "Is it?" She nodded, gripping his hand, her breath shaky. "It's time." Panic flickered in his chest, but he buried it. He remembered every word she had told him about her kind's birthing process. So different from humans, yet so sacred, so instinctual. There would be pain, yes, but there would also be power. He would not leave her side, not now, not ever. Velami laid back on the moss bed they had made together. Her body moved on its own, muscles shifting, glowing softly with a golden sheen. Sweat beaded her forehead, her fingers dug into the earth. She cried out, not in fear, but in strength, in determination. Orvin held her hand. "I'm here," he whispered. "I've got you. You're not alone." She locked eyes with him, tears glimmering. "Don't let go." Never. Hours passed in a blur of pain and light and breath. The forest grew quiet, as though the world itself was holding still, waiting. Then a sound, a soft, warbling cry. Strange, beautiful, utterly new. Velami sobbed in relief. Orvin moved quickly, helping her sit up. And there, cradled in her arms, was their child. Not quite like her. Not quite like him. Something in between. Their baby had smooth, pale skin laced with faint golden markings, eyes that glowed faintly, like starlight through mist, fingers small like Orvin's but strong, a heartbeat that thumped with life and promise. Velami stared down at the tiny form in her arms, trembling with joy. "They said I couldn't," she whispered. "They said I was a mistake." Orvin kissed her temple, voice thick with emotion. "Then this mistake just changed everything." She laughed, choked and wet, then pressed her lips to their child's head. "Our little miracle." The baby cooed softly, its voice musical. It reached out, fingers brushing Orvin's cheek. He froze, overwhelmed. "They're perfect." He breathed. For days they stayed wrapped in that wonder. Velami recovered quickly, her body healing with a quiet grace. The baby, whom they named Neris, after a word from Velami's language meaning light born from hope, slept curled against her chest, tiny and warm. Orvin built toys from bark and soft leaves, humming lullabies he remembered from childhood. Velami sang too, strange and lovely melodies that wrapped around Neris like protection. They watched together as the child's eyes followed the dancing firelight, curiosity blooming. "I used to believe I had no future," Velami said one evening as Neris slept. "But now I see. I was just waiting for the right one. Right human?" Orvin teased gently. "The right heart," she corrected, smiling at him. "The stars never sent any ships. Velami's people never came to check on her. Maybe they never would. But it didn't matter. She had everything here. A mate who had chosen her without fear. A child born of two worlds. A home built from kindness and hope. And one night, as they sat by the fire, Neris nestled between them. Velami leaned her head on Orvin's shoulder and whispered, "I used to be too big to be a mother. But you made room for me. He wrapped his arm around her. No, you were always meant to be one. The galaxy just needed time to catch up to you. In a world where everyone else had cast her out, only one human had seen her not as broken, but as beautiful. And through his love, she became something even greater, a mother, a legend, and the beginning of a future that would one day shake the stars.